Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by Tachi Palace Fights Matchmaker, Richard Goodman. Richard, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Richard, let's go back in time. Let's go back to November of last year. Let's go back to Tachi Palace Fights 15. You guys had just put on a great show. You guys just crowned a new light heavyweight champion in Angel Deanda. Then you had planned to do a show in February of this year, but a couple weeks later we find out that Tachi Palace Fights is no more. There's no more fights that are going to be taking place there. What happened? For people who don't know, could you explain what happened and why Tachi Palace Fights shut down operations for a little while?
It was just a change in management at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing director, who is really in charge of everything that happens at the casino, marketing-wise, as far as concerts, card shows, cage fights, there was a change in ownership and management, so therefore we had to put our fights on delay. It was not canceled, it was really just delayed.
Mm-hmm. And were there rumblings of this, possibly taking a break before the announcement was, or was this kind of just something that was completely out of the blue and really took you off guard?
It was out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting the change in the management, so it was out of the blue.
Mm-hmm. Coming back, what was that process like? How I heard that the tribal council did a vote where if the population wanted the fights to come back, then they would return. Is that how Tachi Palace Fights came to be coming back? Is the people voted for it to return?
Yeah, that is correct. It was a decision made by the people of the Tachi Palace tribe, the Tachioka tribe.
Mm-hmm.
They made the decision to reiterate the show and continue it on to what we were doing before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a overall vote by the casino and the tribe and everybody involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Now, during this time of not having any fights planned, any fights scheduled, any fights taking place, what did you do? Because I heard that there was a couple of companies, I believe West Coast Fighting Championship, they sent out an offer to you. Cage Combat, they had some interest in you. Impact Fight Management, that management company had some interest in you. Where did you go, and what was your role wherever you wound up?
Yeah, no, I actually worked with all three of the companies that you named. I worked with West Coast Fighting Championship. I still currently work with them. We have the show coming up November 16th. And I also, was working on Cage Combat was another show that I worked for in Santa Rosa, California. And Impact Fight Management is just a company that I kind of help with along the ropes. Tom Call is the main boss of that company, but I wouldn't consider myself a partner in that business or anything, but more of a role player, just helping him make positive decisions in the right roles for certain fighters that he's managing.
Is there some sort of alliance that's being formed with West Coast Fighting? Because I know Andre Feely, who's fought a couple times for Tachi Palace, he's getting a welterweight title shot, as strange as that may sound, even though he usually fights at 145. He's getting a welterweight title shot. Is there some talent sharing going back and forth between West Coast and Tachi Palace?
Yeah, no, it's a great relationship. Sorry, I'm outside here at Boston right now. People walking down the street. So I'm at Cheers, actually, in Boston.
Do they know your name?
Yeah, no, it's a great relationship between myself and Brandon Ware, who's the owner of West Coast Fighting Championships. I work for him, as well as the Tachi Palace Fights. And we try to, we have the same goal in mind, which is to build fighters up and get them to the next level. So he's one of him with West Coast and Cage Combat, which is Tom Calls as a partner in that business as well. We all have the same goal in mind, which is to get these fighters to the next level.
You mentioned you were at the Cheers bar. Did they know your name?
Not yet. I haven't made my name present yet, but yeah, I love it.
And you're in Boston for the UFC, correct?
Yeah. I came down to watch one of our former champions fight down here, Michael McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting Brad Pickett here. So I try to support as many champions and fighters as we have from the area, especially from California, from our shows and stuff, which Mikey really was bred and groomed inside the Tachi Palace and brought to the next level from our show. So, Angel Deanda, Michael McDonald, these guys, I try to come and support them as much as possible.
Now, that was going to be leading into my next question. It's a good thing you brought up Michael McDonald, because for a long time, Tachi Palace, that's been known as a breeding ground for the next rising stars, or the next superstars, or guys who maybe have fallen on hard times. That's a place where they can go to build themselves back up. During the time off that there were no fights in Lemoore, California, I really didn't get the sense from other media members and fans of them knowing what kind of place Tachi Palace has held in this sport. I really don't feel like people are aware of, just what kind of talent has come out of there. There's a lot more fans in this sport now, and they're a lot newer to the sport, and I don't think they really know the history. Do you kind of get that same sense that people, when Tachi Palace went away, there wasn't that kind of uproar from the people? They were kind of just like, oh, well, there's another show that's not going to do any fights anymore. Did you get that kind of same feeling that people didn't really know what Tachi Palace meant to the MMA world?
No, to be honest, I had a different perspective. Really? I mean, I got phone calls every day asking me what's going on, why are the shows not going on, what's happening. I mean, it's important, especially in this area. Most people, they were just baffled by the fact that there wasn't a show. They know that that's the spot you need to go if you want to make it to the next level. I mean, every one of my champions, even though we're doing our next show August 22nd, I mean, I really only got one champion left that isn't in the UFC or wasn't in the UFC, and that's Ian Loveland. Aside from that, my 125-pound champion, which was Ian McCall, is in the UFC. My 45-pound champion, Georgia Karkanian, is doing well. 55-pound Gabe Rudiger went to the UFC. 170, John Alessio went to the UFC. I mean, Angel Deanna, 205, went to World Series of Fighting. So they understand the role we play in the business, and they were really shocked at what was going on at that point.
Now, you mentioned your champions. What exactly happened with Georgi Karkanian? Because you have a featherweight title fight on this card. Why isn't he back? Why isn't he defending his title?
He signed with another organization.
Oh. Also, you have your middleweight title. David Loiseau was the champion. Is he no longer champion? Did he vacate that title?
Yeah, he vacated that title. He had ACL surgery right after our fight. So he was out for a while, and there was also some visa issues and some other stuff that was going on with David Loiseau, which kept him from continuing on with our show. Before
Tachi Palace went out of business, there was some talk about maybe bringing in a 115 division. Is that still something that's in the works, or a possibility?
That's still a possibility. Right now, we're not focused on it at this point. We're just focused on rebuilding the show and getting these local fighters built up to, get them to where they belong. But I think the 115-pound division will eventually come up, just like we did with the 125-pound division. I mean, basically, we created that flyweight division, for the mainstream.
Obviously, right now, Invicta is doing great things in the world of women's MMA. Also, XFC, they're doing some very good things. Are you guys interested in putting on more women's fights? I know there's been a few women's fights in the past at Tachi Palace. Is that something that you're interested in going forward, is putting on some more women's fights?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely something. That's one thing we try to focus on is, divisions that aren't quite established yet. We do our best to try to help establish those divisions to make them well-known. So, yeah, I can see the women's coming back in the future. These first couple shows, we're not really focused on that yet, but I can see it coming back in the future now that Bellator's dropped most of their fighters.
Tachi Palace Fight 16 is going to be taking place August 22nd. Will this be the only show of 2013, or are you guys going to do a couple more to close out the year?
I have November 14th already scheduled. So, yeah, we're definitely going to be banging out. We're going to do at least 4 shows a year, no problem.
And this event coming up on August 22nd, 2 title fights. The main event and co-main event will be for lightweight title and then the featherweight title. The lightweight title, Papis Martinez, who was supposed to fight Gabe Rudiger back in February. Then that show ended up getting canceled. I know Gabe Rudiger, he went and retired, but was there a major push to try to put that fight back together? Because it seems like a matchup that, really, if you guys are going to come back, that would be the fight to put together. Papis Martinez, he's the Tachi kid. He's a local guy. He's been fighting there a very long time. And then Gabe Rudiger, he was built up in Tachi Palace, then went to the UFC, then fell on hard times, was rebuilt in Tachi Palace, and worked his way up to the Tachi Palace title. Then he signed with the UFC, and now he's at where he's at. So was that a fight that you were really hoping would be on this card?
Yeah, no, I was a fight I've been working with the moment I knew that the fights were coming, you know, the date that was scheduled. You know, unfortunately, Gabe had already scheduled another fight after that, you know, for his retirement fight.
Right.
So I tried my butt, you know, to get Gabe to reconsider. There was just nothing I can do on our end to make him change his mind.
Christos Galliagos, why did you decide that he was the right guy to fill in that other side of this vacant title picture? Because some people thought that maybe Dominique Robinson, a guy who's fought for Tachi Palace and had a really good performance against John Gunderson way back when, maybe he would get that shot at the title. Why did you decide to go with Galliagos?
You know, I did consider Dominique Robinson, that's for sure, but unfortunately, you know, he's had a slide going on the last few shows that he fought in. So therefore, Christos is on a winning streak, is an up-and-comer, you know, just as well as the Tachi kid, Poppies Martinez, is. I thought it was a better matchup at this point to make happen because it's two rising stars. Right now, like I said, Dominique's, he's actually fighting in Guam, I believe, this weekend.
Yep.
So it was just a matter of, you know, some of the decisions that some of the other fighters made outside of the show that directed us towards another path that we were going in.
Now, I'm seeing a lot of local guys on this card and a lot of familiar faces to Tachi Palace, guys who have fought there in the past. Is this the direction that Tachi Palace is going moving forward, getting the best local talent, or are you still open to bringing, you know, the guys, obviously Ian Loveland, he's not a Northern California guy or a Central Valley guy, he's from Oregon, but you brought him in. Is that the plan going forward, to just focus on local guys, or are you still open to having some of the outside guys come and test their skills against the local guys? What's the plan? Is it still the same plan, or have you guys kind of tailored off to one side?
No, it's still the same plan. We still want to have the best fighters available that we feel are going to make it to the next level. So regardless if you're local or not, we're still going to push to build you up and get you to that right spot if you have the talent. So nothing's changed in that sense. This first fight, we primarily focused on the local fighters just to, you know, help build with the show. But from here on out, I'm sure we're going to still focus on other fighters as well.
Will this event be streamed on SureDog or someplace else? You know, where exactly can we watch this if we don't live in the area?
We're not going to do a stream for this show, the first show back, but I'm sure that the stream will come back eventually. Right now, we're just basically trying to make stuff happen, make it efficient, and make money for everybody, the fighters, the casino, everybody intact, and just do things the right way until we decide to go to the next route, which is streaming the fights or getting a TV deal or whatnot.
Will the fights be filmed and maybe released at a later date, or is it going to be completely dark?
No, it will be filmed.
Okay.
It definitely will be filmed. We've always had first-class production at our shows, and we're going to continue that. That's one thing that the casino has really prided in, is having the reputation of having good quality events. So we're going to have a first-class event no matter what, and it definitely will be filmed properly so it can be viewed later on.
Is Joe Martinez going to be back as the ring announcer?
Not this show. We actually have a local radio station that's going to be doing a lot of promotions for us and stuff, and so Andre Covington, who's a really famous local guy around here, is going to be doing our commentating, or actually our ring announcing for this event.
I see. And also, before Tachi Palace took a break, Ted Williams, he was involved a little. His Gladiator Challenge and Tachi Palace had a good relationship. Is he still part of the organization in some shape or form?
Unfortunately, Ted, who's been a good friend of mine for several years, is not going to be a part of the shows moving forward. There was just some decisions that were made by the casino that they felt that we can do the show, you know, on our own. The casino's taking more in-hand depth on the show itself, so they didn't feel that there was a promotion or a promoter that was needed to operate the show. So therefore, they're gonna be the promoters, the casino. I'll be the matchmaker.
Obviously, Tachi Palace Fights has a new logo, but when the show happens on August 22nd, what are some other new things that we'll see? Will it be an outdoor event? Will it be indoor? Will it still be that kind of box cage thing that you guys have been using? You know, is there going to be anything new to production when the show happens on the 22nd?
Yeah, no, we got a new cage that we just ordered in. I actually just did the test run on it yesterday, Wednesday. So we got a new cage, we got a new logo, we got a new mat cover coming in. We got a few new things that are just trying to spunk the show up a little bit. So, yeah, there'll be some changes, but, I mean, primarily it's going to still be the similar show that we would have been running.
Mm-hmm. I see. And will you guys bring back those white Tachi Palace Fights gloves, or are you guys just going to use the red and blue Fairtex?
Fairtex has been a good sponsor for us, so we have varieties. It just depends on what the fighters fit into. Mm-hmm. We don't really, harass them about using our gloves. Mm-hmm. If they want to use the Fairtex makes our gloves regardless, mm-hmm. so it's just a matter of what the fighters want to do. We just want to make sure they're comfortable when they fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sort of a collector of gloves myself. Do you know where I can get a pair of those white ones?
I can send you a pair, no problem.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, just send me a message and I'll send it out to you.
Yeah, those are the best, and that's one thing. That's one thing I love. I love promotional gloves. I'm just crazy about them. I don't know why, and those are just so nice. I mean, white glove, Fairtex. What a high quality glove that is. Just nothing better.
Yeah, Mike Bruno, who is my representative from Fairtex. That guy's done an immaculate job. For producing basically, our own type of gloves and then also producing their gloves. Mm-hmm. I couldn't thank Mike Bruno anymore for what he's done for our show.
Mm-hmm. Now, the cage, will it be still that sort of four-corner box, or will it be a circle? Will it be a hexagon? What exactly are we talking about?
We got a 22-foot hexagon that just came in. So it's going to be a new shape. The last cage we were using was 20 foot. It was a little bit different design because that was Ted Williams' personal design that he had patent, so that way he wouldn't have to worry about anything with the UFC or any other organizations as far as cage, shapes. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's a little bit bigger cage, a little bit more room to work. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the stream possibly returning for your November show, is the goal possibly eventually to land on like an Access TV? Because I know the WECs in the past, they were on HDNet. Is that something that's been in talks, and is that something that you're open to eventually getting on television?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something. I mean, any show is always looking forward to getting on TV. Mm-hmm. So it's just got to make sense, though. That's really what it comes down to. As long as it makes sense for both parties, we're definitely interested in doing TV shows.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, why hasn't maybe a deal with Access TV come together? Is it just because on their end they kind of like to do a Friday show, and where Tachi Palace, you're open to really anything. You'll do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'll really just do whatever the casino tells you to do. Is that kind of something that's holding back, maybe getting on there?
No, I don't think that was the issue. I know that, when it changed from HDNet fights to Access TV, we actually originally had a proposal in place with HDNet before everything there got shut down for a little bit. So I think that's really what the holdup was. It's just a matter of getting back in and renegotiating some new stuff. I'm sure by next year, the end of next year, we'll probably be on some type of TV deal.
Mm-hmm. Now, coming back, obviously, with it not being broadcast anywhere, ratings, whether it be on a stream or the TV, really doesn't matter. What would you consider a successful event here? In terms of attendance, in terms of people's reaction. When you think of this fight card and think of having a successful event, what do you picture in your head?
I think it's going to be successful all the way around. Even though we're not doing the stream and stuff right now at this point, the ticket sales are great. Everything else is great. The production is great. The fighters are great. The fights are going to be good. I mean, so I'm expecting just a good quality event like as usual. So I don't see any changes really in what we have going on that's going to affect any of us in any way.
Mm-hmm. Bellator, they came in, I think it was 2010, maybe 2011. I'm not real sure. They did a show there. Is there a possibility that there will be fights at the Tachi Palace that won't be TPF? Is that something that's been talked about?
No, that's nothing that's been discussed anymore. That was kind of a one-time thing that we were doing with Bellator. But we still have a great relationship with Bellator. They're coming to Visalia October 4th and doing an event there basically in our hometown. So we've been and the casino has been real voluntarily helping them out, loaning them fighters as well as them signing fighters and helping fighters build their careers too. So the relationship with Bellator is great. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't complain, but I don't see them coming back to the casino itself, but I'm sure they'll be in the areas. Like I said, I know they're coming October 4th, and we're doing anything we can to help promote their fights, just like they'll do to help us promote fighters and get them to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Richard, real quick before I let you go, tell the people where they can follow yourself, follow Tachi Palace on social media networks, website, anything and everything where people can get more info. Where do they have to go?
Facebook is the main source, of course. The Tachi Palace Fights has its own Facebook page. You just Google search Tachi Palace Fights, it's going to come up. I mean, really, if you go search Tachi Palace Fights or anything you see, I have my own Facebook page. It's under my name, Richard Goodman, at Facebook. So they can reach us there, TachiPalace.com, if they need to get tickets or they want to, book hotel rooms or enjoy their stay there. TachiPalace.com would be the main site I would send them to. But if they want to go to Facebook and they want to be involved in the giveaways and stuff that we do, then, I would go to Facebook and just go to Tachi Palace Fights on Facebook.
Richard, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. I'm very glad that Tachi Palace Fights is back in business. I was heartbroken when you said there was going to be no shows anymore. Lemoore, California, and the Tachi Palace and MMA. It's like turkey on Thanksgiving. It's something that has to happen. So
it is.
Yeah,
it's the breeding ground. I mean, we're going to be starting a Tachi Palace Hall of Fame here soon. And I was just going through just the TPF fights. I didn't count the PFC fights that we've done. I mean, there was over 45 guys in the 15 shows that we did that went to the UFC.
Yeah,
it's something that we're definitely going to continue to grow. We got a new marketing director who's really on board with everything that we're doing. So once you got everybody in place, that's really what's important is the team. The team is important in everything.
Yeah, I went out to California to visit a friend, and he's like, what do you want to do? Like, thinking I would say, let's go to Disneyland or something like that. And I said, no, I want to go to the Tachi Palace. I got to see this place because I'm from Michigan and I never been out that way. So I was like, I got to go to the Tachi Palace. And he kind of knows a little bit about MMA. He's not like I call him a casual fan, I guess. So he doesn't really know much about it. And he's like, well, why do you want to go to the Tachi Palace? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like where all these guys have got their start. And he's like, well, who got their start there? And then, I mean, I could be here all day naming guys, the Chris Liebens, the Gilbert Melendez's, let's just look at the card for Saturday night, the Fox Sports 1 UFC card. Chael Sonnen, Uriah Faber, Mike Pyle, Michael McDonald, Steven Seiler, all those guys have fought at Tachi Palace. I mean, just the list goes on and on. We could be here all night of guys who established themselves there.
You can just go down. There's no end to it. Like I said, I haven't even went back to the PFC chart part.
Yeah,
there was over 30 guys just in the 15 fights. I mean, basically, we average about two fighters per show that lead to the next level. All right.
Yeah, definitely a breeding ground. If you can make it at Tachi Palace, you can make it anywhere. It's kind of like
if you're a champ, you're going to succeed.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Frank Sinatra song "New York." If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we pride ourselves in. That's why we've been in business for so long, because we're not trying to take UFCs. We're not trying to take Bellator. We're not trying to compete with those guys. We're trying to build guys up for them. So we know our role in the business, which makes us more successful than 90% of the other promotions.
Yeah, I always love that about
is developing that same, philosophy. Now that we're working together, Brandon Ware has understood that position. It's not about locking down fighters. It's about getting fighters ready for the next level.
Yeah, I always loved that about the Tachi Palace is how, you guys have really embraced feeder show. I mean, that's a very dirty term with a lot of promoters out there. Oh, we're not a feeder to anybody. We're our own brand. But you guys have really embraced that. And when someone wins the Tachi Palace belt, I mean, obviously we've seen with the guys who have gone on, who have been champion there, that's basically their ticket. That's like the last piece of the puzzle to do a big show. If you win the belt, you're going to a big show. So I love how you guys have embraced it. I can't wait for August 22nd. Richard, I really appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck on August 22nd.
Hey, I appreciate it too, and like I said, all I can say is wait for November. It's going to be even better, I promise you that. And I'll have a cheers for you, a cheers bar in Boston.
All right.